And welcome back to West Vigo High School and St. Mary the Woods Sprint Football. Alongside me today is Ron Prettyman, and you get to see yourself.
All right.
Other people will too.
Good.
My wife says I have a great face for radio, so we'll have a great time today. And when I say this, I know you've taken over as the commissioner for the Midwest Sprint Football League. You've had a chance to go to the other schools and see what's going on. What an exciting set of really football teams this association has brought to the field.
Well, it is exciting, and it's giving an awful lot of opportunity to young men that may not have had opportunities at other levels, and to be able to play the game that they love, and it's a great opportunity. So we've got good coaches in the league, good schools, and it's just getting better and better every year.
Well, and when we look, right now there's seven teams in the league. I know you're trying to expand in what's going on. Have you had some success in talking to several of the schools in this area?
I think within the next 2 years, you're going to see some new faces in the mix, and those schools are working hard at preparing and getting ready to make formal application to the league.
Well, that's what you really want to see, and within that, what a great opportunity for expansion within the colleges and universities. I know at St. Mary of the Woods they've had a huge expansion in terms of population and the things that are going on campus. Is that one of the major selling points or draws for sprint football?
Oh, absolutely. All the schools in our league are enrollment driven. They're not state schools for the most part, and it's exciting to see how sprint football has impacted the success of not just the athletics departments, but in the schools in general.
And when you look at sprint football and you sit down and talk to all the people, have you had a chance? Is it mainly presidents you get to speak with, or do you get to give an actual presentation on trying to do that?
I work closely with the presidents. They're kind of my bosses, and so we make sure that they understand what's going on, a lot of communication, but really the nuts and bolts are the athletics directors and the coaches that are driving this thing. And so, yeah, that's what really makes it exciting is it's kind of the boots on the ground that are making up the way it's all going.
And when you look at it, again, you're seeing the two top teams right now in the league. What has Calumet College and, again, St. Mary of the Woods been able to bring the last couple years, I know, and now this year? Are those the teams that you really promote to the other schools when you're trying to say, hey, look, these are the possibilities. These are the kind of things that have happened?
Absolutely. These are two really good teams with really good coaches, and I was fortunate to be the athletics director at St. Mary of the Woods when we hired Blaine Powell, and he has just come in and done an outstanding job. And I know that the coach at Calumet has been strong since day one, and so yeah, there's a lot of things that both of these schools can be proud of.
And again, we're looking. Is there an alignment in the works to look at the East Coast League and this league for maybe a crossover game or two or something like that?
Absolutely. Last year I was the interim athletics director at University of New Haven in West Haven, Connecticut, and ironically the conference offices for the Sprint Football League on the East Coast was about 3 miles from where I lived. So I got to know those guys really, really well, and we communicate often, and I think that there is a desire as our teams continue to develop and mature to do something with a national championship down the road.
Ooh, that would be really neat, especially when you start in the grassroots, build this thing up and getting to go. Now, are both leagues playing with the same rules at the present time?
For the most part. There are some different weigh-in processes. The weights are actually the same on game day, but the midweek weigh-ins are different than in our league than it is in that league. So those are things we've got to talk through if we want to compete together and decide how we want to make all that work.
And there really hasn't been an overall governing board, and when I say that, like an NAIA or NCAA with this, is that something that is in the works or you've thought about? Or
You know, it's certainly something we've thought about, and I think as more and more schools see how impressive Sprint football is and how we run our league and how the East Coast team runs their league, I think we're going to find more and more schools that are interested. And when it gets to that point, then there probably will be an overarching oversight group for that. But right now, ironically, in our league, we've got Division I school,
Yeah.
we've got a couple of Division II schools, a bunch of NAIA schools,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of neat for everybody to compete with each other like that.
And I'm familiar with most of them, not all, but most of them.
Yeah.
I've actually had connections with kids going there. Or
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, my son coached at one of them, that kind of thing, in
Nice.
another sport,
Yeah.
of course. But you put all those together, and the schools that we brought together in the Midwest Sprint Football League are an interesting group to put together in one room because they all have the same basic goals, but they come about it from totally different ways at certain points.
That's absolutely right, and that's what makes this commissioner position so interesting, is that we've really got some great dynamics in the room where we have the Division I experience and the Division II and then the NAI experience, and those guys have all worked together really well and trying to make this thing successful.
Well, I appreciate you coming up and sharing your thoughts. Again, Ron Prettyman, the commissioner of the Midwest Sprint Football League. We're happy to have him here on our halftime show. And again, thanks for watching this one. It is the championship game. You need to watch this one.
Yep.
It'll be great.
Yep. I circled this one on my calendar early on, knew I was going to be at this one. And and thanks for all you do for promoting Midwest Sprint Football League. It's an exciting brand, and for those of you out there that haven't taken in a game live, it's worth doing for sure.
Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more here at halftime. You're watching Indiana Sports Network.